everybody, Kurt Molly here, and Mr. Jeff Schechter, we lovingly like to call him Shecky. It's great to see everybody here today. Hey, this is the Monday Mob, Monday Blab, which is, it's not Monday Blab, it's Monday on Blab, which would be the Monday Mob. Ooh, I'm going to switch out my speaker. Shecky Keen, is my voice still okay?
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Great. All right. Shecky. Well, I'm glad we color coordinated today. I really appreciate that.
Black shirt.
Let's go ahead and jump into it. So, hey, I really appreciate everybody, of course, being here. Today's topic we're really talking about is mobile compatibility, and why mobile is so important. Shecky, did you notice that email that I sent out today where mobile and desktop crossed, and there's now more mobile searches going on than people searching on desktop?
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. I apparently, I'm with my old eyes, I must be in the minority because I'm still very attached to desktops and big screens and things like that. And but I'm just part of that demographic. The interesting thing is that there's a lot of people younger than me with probably better eyes and better vision that are very, very tethered to their mobile device, and many of them hardly ever use laptops or desktops. They pretty much just live on their smartphone.
Well, you know what's really interesting, Shecky, is, as you know, and some of you guys know who are on our email list, is, Shecky, I'm picking up your the article that you did this week, which was great. Whoops. It is where it was. You just set it up here. Yeah, and creating consumable content for mobile. Let me go ahead and add this link back on over because I just took people directly to the blog. Let's do this, Shecky, just to make that easier. You know, what's interesting is, you know, my mom was from Nebraska. And for you guys who don't know much about my story, basically, I'm from a small town in Nebraska, 25,000 people. My mom worked for the state for 40 years. She is the understatement of American consumer. Like, she is the typical consumer that went out and bought me bath towels, hand towels, stuff I'll probably never use, but it is good consumable goods. So, Shecky, you know, you got a chance to meet my mom this weekend. I don't know about you, but I always watch my mom to see how she uses technology. She likes things really simple, really easy. She spent almost the entire weekend on her cell phone. And I go, Mom, you brought your iPad. And she goes, it's just easier. I'm just used to my cell phone. And I'm thinking, I go, but Mom, but the text is bigger on your iPad. And she's just so used to holding her phone. It was interesting. I was watching her behavior because she was going to go lay down. She was going to go lay down and kind of take a nap. She goes, I'm just going to go look at my phone for a while. You know, where a lot of times I know years ago, hey, I'm going to read a book or I'm going to read the newspaper. But she really does. She has her phone on the entire time, and it's just kind of more ease of use. Now, what's interesting, Shecky, is on mobile stuff. You know, we do a lot of launches for clients, big client promos, stuff like that. I'm really amazed. Well, we'll talk about the good, bad, and the ugly. But I'm really amazed. Sometimes people make it a really big deal, like, hey, I got to get my site mobile compatible, mobile ready. Yeah. I couldn't imagine being in a space now where you don't use mobile. You cut off over half your traffic.
Yeah, the word you're looking for, by the way, is responsive. And that's sort of the key word that's being used in the industry today. And really what mobile responsive means for everybody that's watching is just, it's really across all platforms. So that's not just going to be mobile phones, but it's going to be, you know, the tablets and all those kind of like intermediate size stuff. And which you know, it's like every time I travel, I'm amazed at how many people travel with that they don't have a laptop, they have a tablet, and they're all touchy feely and all that kind of stuff. And again, I must be a dinosaur because I never really got into that stuff. It's like I'm going to talk on my phone and send a couple texts, and then when I'm done with that, like, just give me my computer and I'll do everything else. I don't want anything in between.
But you know, the iPad was made for your generation.
Okay.
Yes, it's actually designed around your generation. Simple, easy to use, bigger letters, but point and click functionality, very close to like a regular universal remote control. Yeah. So it's quite interesting. People who, which I've really read a lot of studies, people who are uncomfortable necessarily with laptops, like my mom doesn't really require a laptop. But an iPad, perfect for, which is really, really, really quite interesting. So I'm kind of curious, when you think about like your mom or the family that you hang around with, right? Or even some of your friends, your demographics, like what's kind of their use? How do they get there? And I use this gently because I know you and I don't watch the news a whole lot, But how do they get the news of what's going on? Is it their cell phones, tablets? Like, what do you see in just your immediate reach and social circles?
Well, it depends on who you're talking about. I mean, my mom is older. I mean, she's in her 80s. So, I don't think she's necessarily who we're talking about here. But I think a lot of people are, it's interesting because I'm guilty of it too, especially on the bigger breaking news articles. I tend to typically see that first by people talking about it in my Facebook feed, because I'm not a
or looking at the news feed, like on your desktop.
Like for me, it's looking at my news feed on my desktop and or my phone, right? So I'm not one of those guys that has a tweener tablet. So I'm either online like I am now in front of my computer, or I'm on this thing when I'm moving around, right? So in either scenario, I may be flipping through my Facebook feed real quick, and usually it's some friend that is making a comment about some big news item that hit. Because like you, and obviously we maybe are a little bit different than typical people out there, but I personally have zero interest in consuming any kind of like network news or anything like that. So it's funny because Mother's Day being yesterday, and I saw my mom, and she lives in San Antonio, and she's got the San Antonio Express News, like the actual newspaper, and like I walk up to her house and the thing's sitting on the curb, and I'm looking at it going, what is this? It's like, who even gets this anymore? Well, my mom gets it, but I said, oh, do you even read this stuff? Oh yeah, it's like all the stuff there. It's like, what is there in there that's benefiting you? She goes, I don't understand you. I don't know how do you even know what's going on in the world?
Same thing I called you on.
Yeah. I seem to have muddled through just fine, So but just, different perspectives.
The email that we sent out today, Shecky, and I go, I asked, and I go, hey, I'm really curious how many people are reading this on their mobile phone. And we got an onslaught of people saying, I got one, which was a great email saying, hey, Kurt, it's really interesting. I started looking at my like campaign. And over 90% of my traffic that's the most profitable, most engaging is coming through mobile for my likes. One of the things we talked about with the scale method, we've talked about the Profit Factory before. I've drawn a step-by-step map. We're going to release this to kind of general public outside of the SMAG family in the next 2 weeks. But basically what it is a 12-step process that I've completely drawn out. You've seen the recordings done over the last 180 days at this point. But what's really interesting is a lot of the research that I was doing when we were talking about subjects, they're on my mobile phone. When we start taking a look at launches and people really running a ton of traffic, mobile's really where it's at. And I tell people all the time, if one of the first steps that we have is just targeting our core audience. And Shecky, this from the Social Media Ad Genius training, that we tell people to qualify their audience with likes. One of the best ways to qualify your audience for likes is mobile and retargeting on mobile to keep in front of your people. So when they're, like Shecky, you were saying, like updates, when you're looking at your phone, right? They're looking at their tablet. That's something I want everybody to consider as well, too, is how mobile is influencing our life and how things like Apple are really connecting us much better. Meaning that we have the Apple, or we have the Apple. Apple's everything. We have the tablet, we have the phone, we have the computer. And Shecky, as I've told you and bragged to you about, man, once you have an iPhone and you hook it up to your iMac and then you get an iPad, like everything starts to work seamlessly together. Well, what ends up happening is Facebook and Google starting to be better at this as well too, is they know that you have those different devices and they can track an individual across these different devices. Now, number one, this has never happened before. Typically with Google, if you were on your mobile phone and then in your desktop and then on your tablet, it would look like 3 different users. And you may think, well, why does it matter if it's only 3 different users? Well, if I know that Shecky goes to his mobile phone 4 times a day or 80% more than he goes to desktop, maybe I want to advertise to Shecky just a little bit differently. So one of the things you want to take in consideration, reading over some recent studies, very interesting, is many people will check their mobile phones first thing in the morning. So if you want to think about how do you want to engage with your perfect prospect, a lot of people, speaking of, what do I do with my phone? I don't know, I'm just going to spin around here for a minute. Maybe I'll try that. But Shecky, I don't know about you. Typically, I'm up at 5:30 in the morning, and just kind of laying there getting ready for the day and just kind of thinking about what's going on. And I'll just kind of flip through the news. I really read headlines more than anything else. But I'm just kind of flipping through, seeing what's going on, go to a couple social sites, and just really acclimating to the day, waking up all peacefully, no alarm clock, no screaming, no coffee within 5 minutes. But then as Shecky, as you know, as I'll go on a bike ride in the morning, I'll check one or two things while I'm riding on my bike. Thank you, Ashton. But what will happen is 10:30, 11 o'clock, my laptop's open. I'll look at my cell phone probably half an hour. But Shecky, you know this. I think, you know this kind of at my house as well, too, is when you come over, I always tell people, turn your damn sounds off on your phone. Otherwise, it's all these disrupting, annoying sounds, which is interesting. Because Shecky, you know this. You've seen it with lots of other people. The sound comes on the phone. It's the first thing that picks up, and that's where the attention goes.
Yep.
We're primarily using computers during office hours, right? And then when people get home, start taking a look at the trend as you're advertising of after 7 o'clock, like 7 to 10 or 7 to 11 at night, local standard time, advertising on tablets and desktops. Because I don't know about you, Shecky, but when you're going around, when you're walking around and putzing around your house, and I know you live in this beautiful spot where you got this great trail out back, you're not lugging around your laptop at 7 or 8 o'clock, right?
No.
I mean, you're pretty much, once you're done here, you don't really, or you're done with your other stuff, like you don't usually turn on your computer. Like once you're done for the day, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I have other things that I do, but I you know, it's difficult, obviously, sometimes to pull yourself away because there's many personal distractions on the computer as well. And obviously the plus to that is, you know, we are all subject to that, and that also makes us all subject to good advertising too, which is part of what this conversation is about, because we're addicted to these things. But I try to have, you know, you and I have a mutual friend that does this thing called Amish Hour. And, you know, it's a really interesting concept that, you know, the last hour of the day is all the electronic stuff is off. And I think there's very few people that do that. And I'm not necessarily telling everybody in this call to do that or not do that. I'm not going to be your health guru. But my point is that these are people that are specifically trying to pull themselves away from it because it is so addicting. And yet, what's interesting to me is I know that there's a lot of people, especially with the iPad, the more flatter or mid-sized technology, they will bring those devices to bed with them at night.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And I'm a bit of a health nut. So for me, it's like when I get in my bedroom, everything is off. Like the Wi-Fi gets shut down. The phone goes in the other room. Like I don't want any electromagnetic frequencies, anything like that. But I realize that I'm a freak, and I
wear some tinfoil. It's all right.
There's not that many people like me, and that's totally fine. Like I don't have a problem with it. But it's really interesting to me how many people will actually bring that tablet to bed with them. It's
I'll tell you the same thing as it sits. Shecky, you know, I have what I lovingly say is this king bed that sits like 4.5 foot high. I just love tall things because I'm a big guy, and I set my phone way down kind of below my bed, which is I just have to reach for it. But I do ever since I was young. I had a friend who was in a serious accident, and I remember getting that phone call in the middle of the night, and I've just always kind of kept my phone next to me. But sometimes if I can't sleep, I'll roll over, and there's 2 or 3 sites that I just kind of look at and just kind of play around, and every once in a while I'll check my email. Like, as you know, it's completely worthless to check your email at 2 o'clock in the morning. The only thing you're going to do is see something that puts you to mind to rest or wakes you completely up with anxiety. But it is interesting, though. When I was talking to my mom, we were talking about the remote controls of our life, right? Really on our phones. Man, if you are not advertising on mobile and really thinking about the mobile experience, right? Think about when you use your own mobile phone. Like, for example, this thing will be picked up 150 times a day. But psychology of people, elevators, great spot. On the train, great spot. People don't talk to each other, right? When they're on alone, or they're waiting in line at the bank, or they're on the bus, or they're sitting down, waiting for a table at a restaurant. These are the first things that people pull out. So I want to think about. Go ahead, Shecky.
It's like their imaginary friend.
Well, it's a really great way to say it. And notice, I'm not laughing because that's very true. It really is. It's people's comfort blanket. Why look and talk to anybody else when you can look at the phone? But think about that. Those engagements, how long are, Shecky? When people are staring at their phones, they're not staring at them for 20 minutes. It's 30 seconds here, 45 seconds here. we really got to think about this for video views, right? Like, how fast is that attention span? Like, Shecky, when you check your phone, for example, for Facebook, right? How long do you stay on your phone? Are you on there 20, 30 minutes looking at your phone? Or is it 10 minutes and you're done?
Yeah, I hope it's not that long, because it's super addicting. But I have a question, sort of phenomenon for you, because I just want to make a point about how fast things have changed. So Kurt, if you remember back a couple of years ago when you and I started working together, what we were teaching people was go to use your likes only to qualify your audience, right? Like, that's about the only place that you're going to really drive mobile traffic on these like campaigns. But when it comes time to conversions or reading sales letters or giving data or things like that, you want to kind of sway those back to the desktop, type applications, right? But we've seen that a pretty big, reversal in that trend over the last, year or two, especially, especially if you go back to this conversation that we just had about people taking tablets to bed with them. Well, it's like, look, if I know I have a certain audience that, maybe my product or service is the kind of thing that's going to keep them up at night, or we know that as good marketers, that's common sort of internal language that we want to speak to them emotionally about the kinds of things that keep them up at night, then that's the kind of ads we want to place in front of those people that are on tablets in their bed, right? Because that's when they're more relaxed and their mind is open. And I think those ads can be certainly much more successful. And so, you really got to think about the, the delivery method of those ads, and at what time of day are you running them? Like, when are they most likely to use it? But I think you'll agree, Kurt, we've seen a huge shift in the way people use their mobile devices, because people would previously not really buy very many things on mobile. And now that's changing very, very quickly. I think there's, Amazon's done this thing with, the one-click purchase, which has
Facebook
really
will do that eventually.
Facebook's moving that way, and a lot of the shopping carts are moving in that direction. And of course, all the major shopping carts are completely mobile responsive. So we're moving to a world where it makes it very easy for somebody to just go, boop, oh yeah, I just bought something. Like their credit card's already on file. And it's genius that that's going on from the standpoint of these ad platforms and shopping carts, because everything that we want to do is we want to remove as many barriers as we can to the buying sequence. So go ahead.
There's a couple of points that I want to go over here. Roberto has a good question as well too, but I always like to bring this, Shecky, when we're talking about the scale method a lot last week, is the big ideas: beginner, intermediate, and genius, right? So I tell people at a beginner level, definitely be targeting likes on mobile. Definitely check out mobile, right? You spend money on spending money on mobile likes is much more cost effective than newsfeed. 9 out of 10 times. You can always test, but 9 out of 10 times you're a beginner, start running likes on mobile. Second, engagement on mobile is great. Just keeping your image in front of people, very important. Now, people are buying more and more on mobile, but it's still an interesting and kind of clunky experience unless you're doing something like Amazon Prime. So, excuse me. Roberto has a great question here. So here's one of the things that we just did. We just did a major launch that I just got over yesterday. It was huge. I would say over 77% of our leads out of the 18,000 leads that we got during this launch, a very high percentage of them came from mobile. But over 80% of the buys came from desktop. So we are targeting for mobile. And what we're doing is we use mobile for like the like campaign. We use mobile, and I outlined this in the 12 steps of the scale method that many of you guys will see more next week. But basically what we do is when we take a look at it, running mobile just for likes can get you some really quick, easy likes. Getting just some engagement with your page. We talk about this over and over and over, improving your relevancy score. A lot of people miss the point of, why would I get likes and then do boost post? I just want to run ads. Well, you can run ads, but Facebook cares just about the relevancy. So you want to make sure ads are relevant. How do you know it's relevant? Until you see what your likes engage with. Then you know it's really relevant. So to really get those early numbers, run on mobile because it's really cheap and inexpensive.
Yeah.
Get leads from mobile. We love mobile leads for registering for a webinar, for example, right? Love that. Or as soon as they opt in, then what's going to happen is there's a thank you page, which is great. Well, retarget those people too with the desktop ad to send it back to that thank you page if you're offering something that was on mobile, right? The second thing that I would do is once they opt in, you make that offer, I'm immediately sending them an email as well too. So I'm retargeting them for that next steps in the funnel. Many times what we'll do for branding is make the decision right now, click in the newsfeed. Like that's the big join us now on the right-hand side. Don't forget about this webinar. Don't forget about the webinar. And the mobile for us is content. We use it for content so people can do exactly this and see our retargeting video for 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute, or be able to read like a really quick blog article. Or Shecky, like I did for, this is only for some SMAG members. You saw this weekend where I made that GIF image, right?
Yeah, cool.
Cycled through 12 different bullet points so people could just look at their phone. They didn't have to click anything, and it would just cycle on through and show an image. Really easy for mobile, right? So I have another question here as well, too. Is there a way to see those that you initially targeted on mobile that later converted on desktop? Yes, you can. That's why we always suggest Google Analytics. See, what Facebook has is Facebook has something called ad attribution. So what will happen is someone may see your ad, may click another website later, but go over to your website, and Facebook would credit back over the ad, or Facebook would credit the person when they opted in, even if they just saw the ad but they didn't click on it. Then maybe they went to Shecky's website referred them back over, and then they opted in. Facebook would say, hey, look, this originally came from Facebook. Go ahead, Shecky.
No, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Okay. So one of the things that I would suggest, yeah, absolutely, Roberto. One of the things is test out mobile for your leads. Absolutely, for your lead magnet. Now, when you really run the numbers on what your cost per opt-in is, many people, what they try to do is they run website clicks directly to a website, always split out desktop, right-hand side, and mobile, always so you can really see the numbers. But think about the buying psychology, right? Getting someone to like your page or opt in on mobile is great, but you're going to want to show it a couple of times in the news feed as well, too, for some of that additional credibility, right? And it's really that additional branding. That's where people can make a decision. I mean, that is when we are sitting here with keyboards in front of us, mouses in front of us, our credit cards are very close in reach, right? Very different if we're on a mobile device because you just don't know where they're at. The one thing that you do know when you're advertising on desktop, and I want you to think about this, is typically on desktop, they are sitting down where they have the ability to make a purchase with another hand, right? Because if you're on mobile, you don't know if you're advertising, are they in rush hour? Are they sitting? I don't know about you, but Shecky, a lot of times, like if I'm sitting at a stoplight or traffic's just really bad, right? When I'm not driving, is I'll take a look and just kind of see what's going on, but I don't have more time than to read headlines. So if you're advertising mobile and you're advertising paragraphs and asking people to opt into these really long pages or long sales pages, it doesn't work. I mean, Shecky, are you more focused when you're driving, riding your bike, walking outside and looking at your phone, or are you more focused when you're sitting in the exact seat you're at right now?
Well, clearly when I'm at the seat that I'm at right now. But it's interesting because I think that you bring up a good point, Kurt. Like there's this huge competition for people's attention, but it's what happens when you place attention in a way that can be consumed in very, very short bursts. Like, so for example, I've got in my car, I've got one of those little things that holds my phone up so I can see it, right? And I do that mostly because, if I want to have the maps or the navigation thing, if I'm going somewhere where I don't know where I'm going, I just want that app to show me what the next turn is, right? So, but admittedly, I do some things too, like I'm waiting at Austin traffic is horrendous, as we all know. And sometimes I'm sitting at a light or I'm stuck in traffic and it's like, man, the phone's just right there, like within like tapping reach. Like I can just kind of go, oh, there it is right there. And I've opted in to interesting lead magnets at red lights. But, and I'm answering, Roberto, I'm answering your question kind of at the same time and just giving you my take on it. but I've done it for things typically that I knew that I could consume quickly. That wasn't this big, long, extravagant lead magnet. Like I'm not going to watch. It's not a. What's that?
Or you do what quickly?
I've opted in to lists, to lead magnets that were simple and easy to consume sitting at a red light.
So that's interesting. That's a really good point, Shecky. One of the things that Nick talks about on a regular basis is, can you stand back, the 10-foot rule, right? Can you stand back 6 to 10 feet from your computer? Yeah. And can you do what they want to do? That's actually a really good point, is thinking about if you're going to advertise on mobile, right, which is great. So if you're going to advertise on mobile, can you read over the entire offer and take action while sitting at a stoplight? That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's, and the other thing is, can you consume it easily? So for example, and again, just this totally needs to be tested. And I'm not going to sit here and say, this is the thing to do. But, Kurt, you and I both like audios. You like to listen to audios while you're on your bike. I like to do the same thing. I like to listen to motivational stuff in my car when I'm just driving around. So it would be interesting to have a lead magnet that was very easy to consume and opt in, like, let's say, during the period of a red light, but that also allowed you to just go directly to an audio, right? Because most phones are
hooked up. Good point, yeah.
Most phones now are hooked up to the audio of your car, usually with Bluetooth or something like that. And for the people that are driving around in older cars, I don't know what it's like in your city, but when I drive around Austin, almost every older car I look over and people see wearing their earbuds. It's probably not the safest thing because they maybe are not hearing the horns or the other traffic noise, but that's just the reality of the world in which we live. So I just think that would be an interesting thing to test.
I think that's one of the things we do have to test, because you're 100% right. So for example, Shecky, this about me, is every morning I go on a bike ride and I'll do 10 to 15 miles and I listen to 4 to 5 different mantras of, really just to get me focused for the day, just kind of think about, what do I really want to do, right? With life, with business and stuff like that. And 3 of those are actual videos that I click on and then I'll listen to. I'm not obviously watching the video, but I'm listening to it. And I can see being at a stoplight, taking a look at a really quick opt-in, hitting a button, and then all of a sudden, the video pops up. I might not watch the video, but if I can listen in like a webinar, or if I can listen on in, I'd drive a couple more blocks and be able to listen. That's a great point. So yeah, either having something that's really easy and quick, or I think one of the things to really test out on that page is basically just to say, hey, look, this is just a quick video. If you're driving, if you're on your tablet, if you just want to listen, you can absolutely do that. Let me tell you what you're going to experience next. I think that'd be great. I really do, the more that I think about it. It's interesting, depending on how you're targeting your likes and your content, as many of you know in Facebook and in Google, you can really break down the information for where it's coming from mobile. Shecky, you want to make a point here? You look like you're excited to say something.
No, I'm listening to you and I'm reading the comment. My eyes go over this way because I'm reading the comments at the same time. But no, I like where you're going with it. Just carry on.
Yeah, it's just, the thing is you really want to take a look at mobile, that it is surpassing, because it really is the remote control of our life. People are spending more time here. Now, are they spending necessarily more time on their mobile than they are on their desktop or on their laptop? It's pretty interesting when you start looking at user time. So, for instance, here I'm going to be engaged with on my laptop. I'm going to go ahead and this is really easy. Camilla 91. I'm talking about online marketing. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. So since this is our platform, whatever you say about censorship or politics, whatever is cool. Whatever you believe in politics is awesome. But we're talking about ad stuff. So when you kind of make comments, hey, what can or can't say? Well, we're not talking about anything that looks like it interests you. So we're probably not the group you want to hang out with. So you can probably take off, which is cool. You have a great day. All right, Shecky, let's talk about important things. Now, I think one of the most interesting things is a lot of people don't split out their ads. Mobile, desktop, right-hand side. There's always going to be 3 different prices. And really, you should be looking at this at 3 different experiences. Shecky, you know this as well too. Many people will find an ad And basically what will happen is they'll run an ad or they'll test an ad, but they run it to all three places simultaneously. So they don't know which one works and which one doesn't. And the experiences are created the exact same. Well, what was the word that you used? I don't know why it's slipping my mind. What was the word that you used? Mobile compatible, or not mobile compatible, mobile
responsive.
Responsive, right?
Yeah.
If it's mobile responsive, that means the site changes depending if you're on an iPad, if you're on a laptop, or if you're on an iPad, if you're on a laptop, or if you're on a mobile phone. Why wouldn't your ad change like that as well? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very, very, very interesting on how people will try to run the same ads to three different devices.
Well, it's interesting. You talk about two things, because one of them is, obviously just as an advertiser, just being smart about the way you lay out your campaigns. Like, I want to know when I'm spending money and running traffic on whatever platform it is, but let's just use Facebook as an example right now, that I want to know where things are coming from split out, at least with, desktop versus mobile. Like, even if I'm not differentiating the kind of mobile device, which you can often do, right? But even just that differentiation is important, at least those three differentiators, right? Newsfeed, right-hand side, mobile, right? Because I want to know what the performance is like of those things and how I'm spending my money. The next layer is the stuff that we've already touched on, which I find even more interesting, is that experience, right? Because like you said, Kurt, like sitting at a red light is a lot different than like what's going on right now, where we're sitting in front of a bigger screen laptop or desktop or something like that, where our attention is much more easily held. And, like I'm looking at this is like a 21-inch screen. So this is currently taking up a lot of my attention, as opposed to this little thing, which I just happen to glance at, right? So the experience is really, really different. So you as an advertiser, aside from being true to yourself of knowing what kind of your performance numbers are looking like across different devices, what kind of experiences are you creating, are you building to accommodate the end user based on the platform, based on the type of hardware that they're using? Like, that's a pretty important point.
Yeah, it really, really, really is. So one of the comments that we have in here from Focus Marketing, which is great, but Facebook does a breakdown where the interactions come from if you do all three at the same time. True, but here's the thing. Here's what Facebook does. So what you want to take a look at is you want to take a look at Facebook being almost like if we're going to go play slot machines. Perfect example. And you'll see this very clear in your numbers. Shecky's heard this speak many, many, many times. So imagine you and I and Shecky, we all go play slots, right? And there's 6 different slot machines set up there, right? We'll just make it really easy, right? There's 8 different slot machines up there, right? So what ends up happening is Shecky sits down to one slot machine, I sit down to another slot machine, and then let's just say, folks for marketing, you sit in another slot machine. There's only 3 of us, right? But there's 8 machines. So what's going to end up happening is Shecky may put in $40, I may put in $5, and let's just say you may put in 10. And all of a sudden, you start seeing the lights flash, money starts to happen, things start raining out. Well, you didn't spend as much as Shecky. You spent a little bit more than me, so it's not really statistical relevance. But all of a sudden, Shecky and I turn around, we watch you play. We're still playing a little bit. But there are, but out of the 8 different machines, there are 5 of them that haven't even played yet. Shecky and I are slowly playing our machines because we're watching you be effective because you're winning. Well, Facebook's going to look at the slot machines the same way as ads and slot machines the same way as devices. So let me give you a perfect example. If you run desktop, mobile, and right-hand side, if you're running, let's say, a like campaign, like campaigns are really good on mobile. They're okay on desktop. Like if you want to, I'll retarget people on the news feed when someone has visited our website, for example, right? Someone visits the website, you want to retarget in the news feed, great. Right-hand side, doesn't really work as well. Well, if you're running, let's just say $10 a day, and you look at your reports and you're running it to all 3 at the same time in the same group, you're going to notice like 90% of your traffic will go to mobile. And the big reason it goes to mobile is because Facebook has found that winning slot machine for that ad, And the reason I tell people to split out desktop right-hand side on mobile, so you can tell Facebook, all right, Facebook, look, you're just going to do this one thing. You're going to run this ad to mobile, and that's it. I don't want you to try to decipher where else is best, because I want to find out on my own, is it desktop right-hand side that's really performing? So again, Focus on Marketing, you're right. The report does break it down. But what ends up happening is it doesn't serve traffic evenly. So if 90% of traffic is going to mobile, if I'm serving all three and testing all three, well, then I should just be running a mobile ad, right? But I still want to be able to test. All right, great. If I can get, I'm making up a number, if I can get $1 like off of mobile, it's great. But if I can get $2 off a desktop, well, it's twice as expensive, but am I in front of my avatar in a better way? So for example, we were just talking about this. We were really just talking about this the other day. Is what's better, to get cheaper leads, or get cheaper leads that are more widely targeted, or more expensive leads when you hone in the targeting? Shecky, would you mind talking about for just a second, really the reason why we run likes on mobile to help qualify the avatar a little bit?
Well, we're just trying to figure out what these people are interested in. Any like campaign is really designed to see, at least is just my words, right? Who wants to enter into a conversation, right? So if we have a page that's really about, like, let's just say yoga for health, right? Because yoga does other things, it does spiritual things. We're saying, like, hey, do you like doing yoga to make your bones and limbs feel better like us, question mark? Then we're just, by them liking that page, using that kind of language, we will really just identify the people that are wanting to be part of that conversation. Everything kind of obviously escalates from there, from a standpoint of future content that we put in front of them, more ads, more stories, more retargeting offers, things like that. But we're just trying to delineate who wants to be part of this conversation. And that's interestingly, and maybe I'm taking a step backwards in the conversation. It's not my intention, but this is why I don't like when, like, people that set up fan pages that go, here's me, like my page. Well, who gives a rat's ass? Pardon me, but it's like, let's talk about a fan page that actually shows some sort of benefit to the conversation, to what you're going to get, right? Like, if you are the kind of person or personality that delivers some sort of benefit, and people know that already because of your name, or you have your name like, hey, I'm Joe Bob, who's the best French fry seasoner in the world. So if you want to learn how to season French fries, then obviously this is a good fan page for you, right? So, but if you just say, hey, I'm Joe Bob, like my page, what have you really accomplished besides an ego stroke, right? Nothing really. Yeah. So yes, and I know I'm diverting a little bit, but yes, on a mobile device, just to kind of dial this back in, you're just kind of putting a little carrot out there, because obviously that's the first part of your marketing sequence, is to see who wants to enter into that conversation. And if you go back to yoga as an example, right, you could run like campaigns to some different affinity audiences, like people that are interested in yoga for health, people that are interested in yoga for spirituality, people that are interested in yoga for, a number of different reasons. It might be just their own discipline, things like that, right? So it looks like I lost Kurt on my screen there. There he comes. Okay.
Sorry about that. Hit it better.
Oh, there you go. I don't know. I'm assuming you guys could still hear me while Kurt was offline there. But anyway, so in those mini like campaigns, you've identified 3 or 4 affinity audiences that all could potentially be interested in the conversation of the main offer. But on mobile, the like campaigns typically, now obviously again needs to be tested, but typically they're far less money. So it's a way for you to put a little carrot out there for very little money and go, what kind of audiences are going to be interested in this kind of conversation, so that I can then, as I move to the next layer of my marketing, whether that's content ascension, or any of the other number strategies that we teach, right? How can I be more effective in those next layers, but just by doing that first little piece right? And mobile gives you a way to do that super cheaply. That's what's so great about it.
Yeah, you know, one of the things, we got another question here, which is great too. Will video convert better for like campaign and mobile, or I mean a video post? So I always want to take a look at what do I want video to do for me, right? This is really important. Now, if you're running an ad and you want people to go to your website, run a video and run website clicks, because Facebook's going to target people who will watch the video, but click on your website or go to your website. Now, if you run it for video views, that's what you're going to get. You're going to find that a lot of people will watch your video, but you may be paying $5, $6, $7, $8, $9 a click after they watch their video. So for instance, like what I do is I always split test running a like campaign with just a regular ad on mobile and running a like campaign on mobile that's a video. Maybe they can connect in a minute. It's 30 seconds to a minute. What you never want a like ad to be is something like what we had in one of our Insider Club calls a couple of weeks ago, which again, he's learning. There is no judgment here whatsoever. We love anyone actually who does a couple of things: takes action, tries, fails, tries again, and doesn't freak out and keeps on working, right? The worst thing that we do, and Shecky knows is one of my biggest pet peeves, is when people stop talking or trying. Quitting will never win, ever, right? So it's really important. So here's what happens is we take a look and we say, okay, do I want likes? I want likes. Great. I'm going to run that on mobile with a picture. Do I want people to build rapport with me and maybe like my page? I mean, they've been to my website. If they watch a video with me and they see my face, it always establishes a rapport, and that's why many of you are here on Blab, right? This is how we, like, I love meeting people, Shecky, when people come up to us. We talked about this before at airports, like, oh my God, I saw you on this video, and they feel like they know you more. So if I feel that the person wants to know me more, the like is less important to like my page if they've already been to my website. So for example, for the question down over here, hey, Kurt, would you run a video, you know, like, I know you said video post, but I'm giving you two different examples. Hey, Kurt, would you run a video like campaign? Probably not to a cold market that I'm qualifying my market, right? If I want to say, are you interested in green smoothies and living a healthy lifestyle? That's going to be with a picture and not a video. But if they went to my green smoothies and healthy lifestyle website, maybe I have a 30-second, very, very quick 30-second video that I do to say, hey, I realize you visited my website. If you're into green smoothies and you're in the healthy lifestyle, click like for this page for regular recipes, updates, and every Tuesday, a new video training. Now, they may not like your page, but you weren't running that video like campaign to necessarily get likes. You were really retargeting for the branding for them to see your face. So a lot of retargeting, we will run website clicks only on mobile, so people are clicking directly on the ad to see that next piece of content. Now we'll also use a video boost post, or what we'll do is we'll run a video post where we'll run it for video views, and we know, okay, they already opted in, or they already went to the sales page, or they already went to the sales page and then they went to our feature and bonus pages to check out the deal even more. Now's a great time to advertise video in front of them where I'm going to influence their decision. Let me be really clear. Is because they've gone, let's just say, to a webinar, then a sales page, and they've checked out some other content, right? I'm now going to run a video ad, and I'm going to run a video ad for video views because I want to connect with that person as they're in the decision-making process. Running another ad that's just an image that clicks back over to the sales page they've already been at or the additional content page they've already been at doesn't really matter, right? So I don't care if they click on the link of my video ad when I'm retargeting someone who has jumped those 3 different spots. I can easily say, hey, I noticed that you had checked out our website. I noticed that you also checked out our sales page and our content page. And right now, you're probably ready to start making a decision. Whether it's yes or no, I just wanted to give you a couple of other small little pieces of information. Remember, like for instance, for something we're going to be coming out with called the Genius Scale Method. Hey, just to let you know, the Genius Scale Method, it works really easily. You get a lot of support options and then we start going through the features and benefits. So even if they don't click on the link to go to my website, they listen to a video about me, about features and benefits that I'm retargeting them because they've already been to my site. They're not clicking the sales page, but I'm influencing their decision. So can video like campaigns work? Absolutely. Would I use it for my cold market? Probably not. Would I use it for retargeting? Absolutely. video campaigns I love for additional information. Now, Shecky, one other one, because you know this because you talk to a lot of our students. You know, one of the events that we had when we had our office down under, right? Thank you for the comment, by the way. When we had our office down under in the bunker, right? Things have changed so much, Shecky, in that last year. But one of the things that people really remember is this. They remember what we call the bunker tour. See, what happened is you're right? I mean, so many people would come up to us and be like, the reason I'm here is because of the bunker tour. Now,
I know I gave you a lot of shit about that too, but it definitely, I got to hand it to you. It did create a lot of engagement, and it did create a lot of awareness about us and what we were doing and all that. I admit I was a bit annoying in voicing my opinions about that, but whatever.
Let's tell everybody real quick what we did there, because this is really important, right? So we decided, I've always wanted to have an office downtown, so we decided to get an office downtown Austin. Now, I'm one of these people that believe in intentions and, hey, nothing bad ever happens to me. And if I really work really hard, I pretty much get anything that I want or deserve, right? So I'm looking for an office downtown, and if I could just find 2 offices, one for me, one for Shecky, one when we have a film room, and one when we have an open room where guys or girls could buy ads, like almost like on a trading room floor, it'd be perfect. Within 2 weeks, found the place downtown. Rent was really cheap. Notice I said cheap and not discounted, right? Which was great. It was at a great location. The only one thing was it was in the basement. And they had to put...
Let me just add, no doors, no windows in a building built in 1897. Now, that's not 1997. That's 1897.
Yep, so there was a morgue next door to us for many, many years before us.
Kurt affectionately called it the bunker. I called it the dungeon.
But so here's what happens. It's very important. People want to be entertained more than they want to be sold. People want to be entertained more than they want to be educated. But if you can entertain people, it increases the education velocity in a huge way. So to tell you a story that, and Shecky knows this whole story, to tell you a story of, hey, we got an office downtown that's in a basement. Would you like to come check it out? It's pretty boring. But everything I'm about to tell you is unequivocally absolutely true. Because, for instance, Shecky, you know this, the landlords didn't put our name on the front door. They hadn't even changed the names in a really long time. And we have a side door that was in the back of an alley that was painted black. Like, we couldn't make this stuff up. You couldn't see this door in the side alley unless you really paid attention on where to go. Yeah. So Shecky and I were talking about it one day, and I'm like, Shecky, it is not the dungeon. It is now called the bunker. He's like, what do you mean? And I go, it is the Black Buck Bunker. Now.
Well, wait a minute. It's not just the bunker. It's the secret bunker.
Oh, thank you. This is very important. Thank you. That's
which is also true because it couldn't be found.
It's a secret. It was a secret bunker because the landlord didn't put the name on the door, so you wouldn't find it anyway. And we didn't list it on site of Google Maps. We just decided we didn't want to because most of our business was just online. So we started telling people, hey, look, we have a top secret black box bunker. By the way, we don't take any clients here, but every once in a while we allow people in. As soon as we said that, people were like, what is that? So Nick and I did this really cheesy video. It wasn't cheesy. I mean, it was. I liked it. It was good, but it was low production value. I think it cost us maybe under $25. But what happened is we had an upstairs floor that was a common use area for everybody, and we took people on a tour. So here's what happened. People would go to opt into our webinar. If they opted in, they would then see the video tour as they're considering the buying process. If they did not opt in, they would see a little bit different tour of the video, just a little bit different to get them to opt into the webinar. But the tour was essentially this, is Nick has a camera. We start upstairs in a conference room. And I say, hey, everybody, look, my name's Kurt Molly, Black Box Social Media. We spent millions of dollars over the last couple of years on Facebook advertising. Well, what does this mean for you? Well, we wrote a national best-selling book. I mentioned the book and the title. But hey, look, this video is really all about you, and we want to show you some of the resources on where we have all this information. Now, I don't typically do this, but we're going to walk you downstairs. We're going to take you in the subterranean elevator because the elevator would go one floor and take like 5 minutes. So it was a subterranean level. It felt like you were in there forever. So what would happen is then we took the camera in the elevator, we went down, and then we showed our office. And we're basically like, look, this is where everybody sits at. This is our office over here. This is where I'm filming all these new videos, and I'm going to come forward to you with these new product, service, and ideas. But what happened when it was really magical,
because as I walked people through the office, they felt that they were part of the process. They felt that they knew us. They felt that they really were inside the bunker because they were giving access that no one else was, and they were seeing stuff that no one else felt because it was all in the language that we presented it. So that video stroked curiosity. That curiosity started to get the phone ringing. That curiosity had people buying our products, and when they were buying our $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 products, people come up to Shecky and I and say, I remember seeing you guys on the internet, but you know what I really remember? What really got me over the top was when you guys did that top secret bunker tour. That was amazing. And people would pay $5,000, and we delivered great content, but really would pay $5,000, and they'd come down and hang out with us in a basement and be extremely happy because of the experience, where we would take them, what we would do. So now a lot of the story goes from, as the story continues, we have the black box secret bunker. Now we have the secret layer in the sky, where now we're able just to, talk about the adventures we get to have in entrepreneurship. But one of the reasons that we do the blabs, or why Shecky and I do videos or webinars, is so you get to do this. You get to see our faces. You get to see our regular content. You get to build rapport. Now, if you line up your video ads correctly, think about how you would have a conversation with your avatar, right? And think about those conversations you can have with your avatar in quick little notes. It's almost kind of like writing a love note, where you don't have to. Hang on a second, Shecky. I want to make sure that this is really fun and easy. You want to make the notes really easy, really uncomplicated, and these videos very easy to use. Sorry about that, everybody. I'm going to delete. I don't know what Mr. Coleman's was doing, but I like when people act like I'll just be very open, because Shecky knows I'm very open. When people act like fucking idiots, I just like to get rid of them. I want to spend time with amazing people like yourself. So there we go. That is it. That is perfect. Very interesting. Do you have a video link to the video of the secret bunker? Trying to think. I think I do. Go ahead, Shecky. Do you want to go ahead and take that?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. There's probably a link out there on our YouTube channel, I would think. I don't have one handy. I'm putting up fingers because I have 2 points that I want to make.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And we're running out of time. I'm looking at the clock here. So
that's okay.
So number one is, you brought up an interesting thing, and I just want to hit this point a little bit harder about, there's a word out there called influence. Actually, it's a very, very famous book by Robert Cialdini called Influence. And if you do any kind of marketing at all, I would highly encourage you to read this book, because it talks a lot about laws of reciprocity, and a lot of what you're talking about, Kurt, with the bunker tour, and some of the things that you said about video marketing and creating sort of lowering barriers. There are some things that you can do in those kinds of videos that really create influence. So I want to get you thinking as marketers, even if you're doing short little videos that are made for mobile, think about, like, in the big scheme of things, if I ultimately have a product that I'm going to sell, or whether it's an information product or a physical product, farther down the road of my sales funnel, is this short little video creating some sort of influence? Even something fun and light and entertaining, like a secret bunker tour, is influential because it was secret, right? Like we were divulging, we were letting them in on something, right? So read that book and all that. So that was the first point I wanted to make. The second point I wanted to make is just really minor, but I, in good conscience, cannot take credit for this week's article, because there's a great article out there, and it's on our blog, and there's a link to it down there, Creating Consumable Content for Mobile Use. But that is written by Tom Bukacek, one of the other partners. That was not written by me. And Tom's a great writer. I know we give him a lot of crap, but Tom is a great writer, and this is a really it's worth your time to go to the blog and read that article, because I think it'll give you a lot of insights. Tom definitely looks at stuff differently than Kurt and Tom and Nick and the other people here at Black Box. He's just got a unique perspective on things. And so I think it's really worth taking whatever it's going to take you 3 minutes or so of your time to read that article to gain some of that different perspective on that sort of thing. So that's it. Now I made my 2 points.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the thing is that, I mean, that I really love about mobile is if you're not afraid of doing a little bit of video, you can really connect with people in a really fun and unique way. I'm trying to copy and paste, Shecky, something for everybody here in a second. If I can get this thing to work here real quick, let me see. There we go. I always want to make sure I have the SMAG link in there. If you're not a SMAG family member, definitely make sure you become a member of SMAG. We just had a really big announcement last week, which we talked about support options for one-on-one support options. I'm excited. Yeah, we had a really big week last week. So some of you guys will see this already. If you're not already a part of our social media ad genius family, you can at least go ahead and click on that link and opt in to find out more information. But basically what ended up happening is we always reward people who take action. So we always reward people who are inside of our family, people who have purchased Social Media Ad Genius or Social Media Ad Genius 2.0. We rolled out a new process. It's a 12-step process that can really help scale your business in really big ways. We've been proving this point for years, just the first time, and we've documented it step by step with all the documents, all the support, all the hand-holding. It's going to be great. So one of the things that I love to do is when we're testing out mobile and we're following like that 12-step scale process, Shecky, I can connect with my avatar in a like campaign through mobile. I can retarget with mobile to get their attention. We can retarget when it comes down to weekly content. And the biggest thing is, like we mentioned to everybody else, create splinter offers of your products, or make sure before you send your traffic off to another affiliate that may have better copywriting skills than you, right? I mean, there are some brilliant people out there. Make sure that you're connecting with your avatar correctly, right? Make sure that you're following up, you're offering advice, you're offering insight. Not like some of the interesting comments that we had here in Blab Day where people are just jumping on in. Hey, let's start an argument. No, start a really good discussion. By the way, one of the things that you can do that will start really well is you can right here build a rapport with someone. Never meet them. Never. So what's amazing is, actually, you know what's funny? I've been working with Daniel for years, and Daniel just gave me props. Daniel, I appreciate you a bunch, my friend. Daniel and I still have never met, and I think it's been 5 years now that I think about it. All of our interaction has always been on video, and we're sitting here talking about video and stuff like that, and I see Daniel give props, and I'm like, I have still not met my brother from another mother yet. Yeah, I think it's been 5 years already, Daniel. We gotta definitely do that. Happening this year. Yay! Well, yeah, we have a SMAG family reunion. You unequivocally have to be down here because you were part of the first 10 people that really got tons of our SMAG and stuff kicked off. So that would be awesome. And someone else just asked me, hey, am I going to be at the NE7 event this weekend? Yes, I am. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this. Maybe. I'm speaking on Saturday afternoon. So I'll be out Saturday afternoon. I'm actually going to be speaking on the scale method, and I'm going to be giving out the 12-step process map to all the attendees there. I've never released that out in public too, but it will take you step by step on how to scale your business unequivocally, very, very, very quickly. And there's no opt-ins or any of that other stuff. So it will be really, really, really good. All right, Shecky, last thing before we close this whole thing out, mobile and getting sales on mobile. When we're getting sales on mobile, one of the most important things we want to remember, there aren't always times where people are going to have their credit card handy. So really split test out to find out where your sales are coming from. So one of the most important things that you can do is really to split test out. All right, I'm going to split test running people to a sales page on mobile. Some people will type in their mobile or their information on mobile. That's great. But remember, that's not going to be everybody. You want to be really careful, really, really, really careful when you start testing out to the sales page, because you want to make sure people are ready, willing, and ready to buy because they're in the state of mind where they're sitting at, or to influence people. So Shecky, do you have any last tips on influence before we conclude this for influence on mobile? I love this discussion. It is great, and I know we're going to be talking about mobile a lot more inside the scale method as well too, but I really like this discussion.
Well, yeah, no, and some great insights today, and thank you for that. I just, the cool thing about this world in which we live and what you're saying, we're all just like completely interconnected, right?
Yeah.
And like how you've got, I've got some buddies like you do that I've not met for 4 or 5 years, and we've just been involved in different marketing groups and whatever. And it's like someday we're supposed to meet, right?
Yeah.
And anyway, the thing that's cool about it is as video becomes more available and as bandwidth grows, it allows us to do more video and to do more pictures and to just have more things online and more of ourselves. So the only thing that I would say is that just be yourself. You know what? Be authentic. Everybody goes like, well, I have to model somebody else and I have to do this. And, yes, you can learn from other people in marketing. You can learn about influence and you can learn about things. But when it really comes right down to it, nobody else can be you. Right. So you can mimic somebody else and you could say, oh, this guy made $1 jillion. This guy is the world's greatest coach. This guy's the best online marketer. They may be very good, but the reality is that you have to do a good job of being you.
Yeah.
And if you're authentic in being you, authenticity is the kind of thing that really, really, really shines through. And as much as I gave you crap, like the bunker tour is a good example. It's like, we don't have like this super hot fancy office in the top of a high rise, right? We have a freaking bunker, okay? But we're authentic and this is what we do, and it's secret, and we made a game out of it, right? But we were who we were, and it just was hugely received. I think a lot of it because of the authenticity. And we gave away a lot of really great free content and tips and tools, but we did it in a very, very authentic way. So I'd say if you get, that's sort of the asterisk to this whole conversation is like, yes, you got to test. Yes, you got to figure out, what's the right platform and how to get their attention and all that other kind of stuff. But you still got to do a really good job of being you.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got,
Yeah, and I think just one last comment on that, because Shecky, so many people get so overwhelmed with what should the video look like? What does it be? And I know we're going to jump on the video for just a second. But basically what ends up happening is people get really nervous on, oh my goodness, like, how's this video going to look on mobile? Like, what am I going to do? And Shecky, you've spent enough time with me. It's like, let's just get out a phone. Let's focus on production over perfection. Nobody cares. And Shecky's like, sometimes we go back and forth. Yeah, but what about this word? Or, hey, this was spelled wrong. People don't care if you spell things wrong. Here's the thing. Some people will judge you. But if you're just really open when Shecky's talking about being authentic, all it is like what I'll say to people. Look, I know I'm a horrible speller. That's why I love having Shecky around and people like Ashley. But let me tell you about one of the things that we can do. How? See, what Shecky did is he laughed. He didn't judge me. He didn't look down. He wasn't like, oh, wow, I'm not going to do business with that guy. I can tell you from our list of 45,000 people, very rarely, if hardly ever, do we get any emails from people who are like, upset at, I think it was one guy, and some of you guys may remember this. Shecky, remember when we were doing the video and I was wearing a hoodie, and were you wearing a hat? No, you don't hardly ever wear hats. I was wearing a hoodie and you were wearing a hat.
We wore hats the next week in defiance of that a-hole.
Yeah, and basically what he did, the guy writes me and says, and he writes, well, after we sent out an email about the recording of a blab, and he's like, look, video experience, the video wasn't very good, the audio wasn't very good, really, for the money that you guys say that you make, which we never brag about money on here, we talk about success, but we never talk about money. And then he goes, this little stuff really does matter. Maybe it doesn't matter to you, but yeah, Kurt, the details do matter. And I remember, first of all, of course, like anybody else, being pissed. And then the second thing is emotions don't really matter. I should look at this logically. Let's look at his customer service record. Oh, he opted in 18 months ago. He's watched our free content for 18 months. He's never purchased anything. So for 18 months, he's watched free content, has never sent me an email to say, thank you, this was good, I learned this. He just said one email that was really crappy, which was cool. We just removed him from the list, and that's not somebody that we want to participate with. But I didn't really care. And what I mean by I don't care is Shecky and I want to provide really good value. We're seeing some great comments in here. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for that. That's great. One negative person or two negative people, or I think we even had 3 today, which were interesting here for a blab. We never have that. Doesn't run your business. So making a video, a really quick follow-up, some of the most brilliant things that you can do. And just being open when Shecky says authentic, just to be really clear, it's just telling people that you're human, you're going to make mistakes, you have something you want to share with them, and then move on. Most people procrastinate and never get started. So having some follow-up through video that you film that's just like this, Shecky, I don't know about you, but I curled my hair real quickly and jumped on here. People just want to hear content. They don't care about this little zit I got right here. And I don't think they care about that little bald spot you have right there either. I think they just care about you.
Are you kidding? I'm a stunningly handsome man. I don't have anything to worry about.
That is exactly the right attitude to have. All right. Shecky, we're a little bit over. Anything on closing thoughts besides we'll see everybody on the lab this next Monday and next week. Next week, Shecky, we start rolling out Scale Method on the national level.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited. No, I've got a call coming up in a few minutes with somebody that's coming into the beta program, so I'm very excited about working with him. And yeah, we just got some really, really cool stuff doing. If you are on this call and you're not currently a member of Social Media Ad Genius, I would say we're only got another couple days of the old way that we're doing this. So, you know, come in now because we've sort of hinted at this whole beta program, but it's completely unavailable to you unless you're part of the Social Media Ad Genius family. And even if you didn't take part in the beta program, what you get with Social Media Ad Genius is far and away the best product in the world on advertising on social media platforms. So it will totally pay for itself, probably just in the first module, the stuff that you learn. So, you know, we'd love to have you as part of the family. If not, and you want to just continue to get free content, hey, that's fantastic too. We appreciate all of you. But
yeah, the only thing that we ask is take action and be kind to others and serve the world in a great, crazy place.
And call your mom.
Yeah, call your mom. Definitely. If your mom's still around, definitely call her.
Yeah.
All right, thanks again for your time. I really appreciate it. We will see you all next week, or I'll see some of you in San Diego this weekend. It'd be great. Thanks, everybody. Take care. All right.